So today we're going to talk about positions for labor and delivery. So remember that when we have moms who start to go into labor, the belly and the uterus itself are going to be the things that are contracting. So the uterus has some muscular properties. So the uterus is going to start to contract, and by doing that, it's going to contract and kind of start to push down, okay? Most of the time, while this is painful, if we just let the uterus do its thing and not try to rush it too much, as long as mom and baby are vital signs stable, we don't have to do anything. We don't need to cue mom to push. We can just let the uterus and let baby do what they're supposed to do. Now, one of the things that we need to make sure is that the pelvic outlet is relaxed. Okay, so this is referred to as the pelvic inlet. This is the pelvic outlet. It's the outlet because stuff has to come out. If the pelvic floor is too tight, or mom can't relax the pelvic floor because of weakness or pain or something like that, then it's going to be really, really hard when it comes time for us to start working in that second stage of labor. So one of the things that I like to do with moms is work on labor and delivery positions, typically starting somewhere around 30 to 32 weeks, and have them turn this almost into like a mobility practice that they're doing every other day. One good rule of thumb is that the way that baby got in there is probably also a really great way to get baby out. What do I mean by that? Think about sex, think about positions. Those positions cause the pelvic outlet, therefore the pelvic floor, to relax. It has to be able to relax for sexual intercourse. So the same way baby got in there, same way baby gets out. So let's see what that looks like. One of those ways might just be lying on our back, okay, kind of in this happy baby pose. Now, what I don't love about this position is that when we start to get into second stage of labor, we're having to push against that pelvic outlet, and there's an increased risk for tearing. So there's some other options that we can do to let gravity kind of help us out. One of those options would be to be in this kind of quadruped position, okay? Mom can do some rocking like this. If she's got a birthing ball, she can rest on that birthing ball and just let it kind of support her. She can also get pillows and a bolster, kind of bolster herself up like this. Knees need to come out nice and wide. And in this position, the pelvic floor can relax. And because we're going down like this, gravity can help us out there as well. Another great position that sometimes is really comfortable is side lying. So mom can lay on her side. We typically want to have the legs separated. Her partner can hold this leg, and sometimes that will help too. In this side lying position, there's a lot less strain on the pelvic floor, and so when we get to the point that we've got some active pushing, the risk of tearing is much, much less. And finally, we're going to talk about a squat. So one of the things that I like to have moms work on is the goddess squat. So in yoga, goddess squat is taking a pretty wide stance. The only population that you don't want to do this with are moms who have any kind of pubic symphysis or anterior pelvic girdle pain. So in this position, you're going to have mom squat down. She's going to try and keep this upright position and maybe push her knees apart with her elbows. Now, again, sometimes if there's a lot of tightness in the adductors or if there's pubic symphysis pain, we don't want to do this. You can also use, some midwives or some hospitals will have a squat bar. So it's basically something that you can kind of rest on as you're squatting, or you can just hold on to a table and kind of work this squat position side to side. In this position, we can let the pelvic outlet completely go, let the pelvic floor completely relax, and then let gravity and our uterus do the rest of the work, okay? So helping our moms work on these positions early on is going to help work on hip mobility, getting comfortable in that position, teaching the pelvic floor that it's okay to relax in that position, and then giving mom a sense of power and control over the process. I think when women are birthing in birthing centers or at home with a midwife, there's a whole lot more control than if we're birthing in a hospital. And that's not to say that hospitals are bad, because they're not, and they certainly have their place. We need to make sure that mom has a plan, that her providers know that plan, that her partner and her birth support team has that plan, and we can do everything in our power to help support her. So thank you so much for listening and for having me, and I look forward to answering any and all questions, and I'll see you soon.